Hello, Patriots, and welcome to the MAGA Message. This week I have several topics I want to talk with you about. Let's jump in with the hot topic of the day. And that's Elon Musk versus Donald Trump. What do you make of all this? I mean, Elon was the talk of the town, and the Democrats hated him, and he was the new bogeyman, and he was the co-president or the shadow president, and then his time was up and he leaves the White House and he begins attacking President Trump. I'm not sure that I understand why, but, certainly Elon has the right to comment on legislation, but having never legislated or participated in the legislative process, I wonder just how valuable his ideas are. And the word in the White House that I've been picking up on back channels is that the staff had pretty much had enough. And that for the last 2 or 3 weeks, Musk has really grated on President Trump's nerves. And so it was Susie Wiles who said, enough, we're done. And when his days were up, Trump gave him that key to the White House and sent him on his way. And I think that angered Musk. I think that the ego couldn't take okay, we're going to move on now without you. Thank you for the job that you've done. And he did do a marvelous job with Doge. But now he's making these crazy allegations and went too far. He went too far when he accused the Department of Justice for withholding the Epstein files because Donald Trump was in them. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's too far. And hopefully these two can make up and keep moving forward. But the threats going back and forth are crazy. President Trump has handled it much more calmly than I actually thought he would when this all started. But the whole thing is just a mess. And it needs to be cleaned up. And Musk seemed to open the door a bit last night when he said that in response to a tweet that the two of them need to make peace, is that you're not wrong. So hopefully this gets squared away, and it's just a couple of bros with big egos that are going at it a little bit. Hey, did you see Timmy Walz, tough man Timmy Walz, this past week? What a buffoon this guy is. I certainly hope he becomes the Democrat nominee in 2028, which is what he's shooting for. But, he's talking about things like, President Trump is a bully, and so we need to bully him back, bully the S out of him. What is wrong with this fool? I mean, tough man Timmy, here, he can't tell the truth, for one thing. He talked about Coach Walz and all this stuff, this manly stuff. He was an assistant coach. And he said, I think we ran the 4-4. He didn't even know what defense they ran, even though he was the, quote, defensive coordinator of this high school football team. And then he says things like, well, AOC, when they're playing the NFL game, calls a mean pick six. You don't call a pick six. A pick six happens. What a fool. What a vacuous moron, in my opinion. And I'm certainly glad that he's on the opposite side. What about you? Now to a more serious topic. The Democrats are going crazy and equating ICE to the Gestapo and to terrorist groups because the agents are wearing masks. Well, why are they wearing masks? Because they've been doxxed. Their identities have been identified, have been put out into the public. And these are bad people that these ICE agents are going after. And these cartels, if they know them, where they live, and who their family is, it puts these people at great risk personally. And for these idiots on the Hill, the Democrats have obviously nothing to complain about their wearing masks and equating them to the Gestapo and Trump stormtroopers. I hope they keep going down this alley. They wanted to beat on Musk. They beat on Trump, and it didn't work. They then wanted to beat on Musk, and it didn't work. Now they're back on Trump. You know, you need to get a new drum to beat, Democrats. But this is ridiculous. These people deserve your respect, and they deserve to be protected as much as we can, and to cover their face when performing these tasks of arresting gang members, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua gang members, and doing things that hurt the business of the Mexican cartels. And to oppose that, to me, is un-American. Now, over the weekend, there was a situation in Gatlinburg where a lady ran through a crowd of people on the street in Gatlinburg and hit several cars. And that's about 45 miles from where I was raised, and so I know it well. It's a tourist trap, and a lot of people go there for vacation and so forth. But the first thing that came to my mind, and I turned to my wife and said, terrorists. This is a copycat of all these cars that have been run through people around the world. It turns out that the lady had a medical emergency that caused the accident, and it was an accident. But then, a couple of days later, we have this Egyptian who makes a flamethrower out of a garden hose and burns 16 people at a rally to support Israel and to support getting the hostages back from Hamas. And the guy had 2 Molotov cocktails. Well, it turns out he's a Biden holdover from overstaying his visa, was told to leave, and he didn't leave. But here's my problem with what's going on. Now, he was immediately arrested, and the police department there handled it marvelously. But then you got Democrats running around going, well, why is the FBI involved? Because it's freaking national security, that's why. Who's supporting this guy? Who's bolstering this guy? Who's behind this? Is there anybody behind it? They certainly need to be involved. But more than that, the DOJ, or I'm sorry, ICE and Homeland Security gathered up his family and put them in detention for the purpose of deporting them, which is only proper. And some idiot federal judge said, no, you got to give them due process. They're here illegally. Now, I want to see these people, particularly the wife, interrogated thoroughly. Determine what she knew about this. There's a lot going to come out in the next few days and weeks. And the Democrats are on the wrong side of this issue. Due process. Did those 16 people that got burned up, did they have due process? No. It's ridiculous. Well, in our next lefty loser, Katie Hobbs, the Arizona governor, vetoed a bill passed by her legislature that would prohibit China from owning land. Her excuse? Well, it could be improperly employed. Hey, Katie, guess what? That's what the courts are for. If it's improperly employed, let the courts deal with it. This is just stupidity of the highest level. And of course, there's military bases close by. It's just beyond the pale. I certainly hope that the legislation that has been proposed to take back the land that China owns and that other foreign governments own in the United States is passed. Particularly the one dealing with China, because it's obvious what they're doing. And of course, we had 2 Chinese nationals, members of the Communist Party, brought in terroristic type of poison that could be used to poison the food supply and farm animals where we get our protein. And Hobbs is afraid that the law might be applied improperly. Are you kidding me? Well, our good friend Karine Jean Pierre, the binder, has left the Democrat Party. Of course she did after she got out of the White House. And the reason is she's got a book she wants to peddle. This woman, I'm sorry, but she's a 40-watt bulb in a 100-watt world, in my opinion. To think that she could turn on President Biden, who she lied for daily for years, is ridiculous. And to think that her voice would be heard is even more ridiculous. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we heard enough of her when she stood at the podium with her binder and lied and lied and lied about President Biden. And now she wants to say just the opposite. You know, in the law, I'm a lawyer, in the legal profession, there's a thing called judicial estoppel. So that if you testify under oath a certain way and take a certain position, you can't take a different position later on in the litigation. And sometimes in other litigation of a related topic. Well, I think the same should apply to these people that are writing these books. You know, he's strong, he's determined, he's sharp as a tack until he's not, when it's time to write your book and make some money. I hope it flops. What about you? Well, the California track meet, state track meet, certainly turned interesting when a male won both the long jump and high jump in the track meet. And their solution? The number 2, the runner-up, moved up to the winner's podium with the male who won the meet. And the others then below moved up one notch on the podium. You know, this is the most stupid bunch of people to keep saying, oh, well, you know, what if LeBron James said, you know, I'm a woman. I'm declaring to be a woman. And went to play in the WNBA. What do you think would happen? People would get hurt, for one thing. But he would dominate. That's not fair to women at all. And this solution, quote, solution, not only violates President Trump's executive order, it's stupidity at its zenith. I hope that the Department of Education withholds funds, federal funds from California because of this nonsense. You know, we have President's Day. I remember when I was a child, we had Lincoln's birthday, we had Washington's birthday. You remember that? Now we have President's Day to honor all presidents. We have Pride Month now. Pride Month. Now think about that. Do we have a month-long celebration of dads who get up every morning and go to work and support their family and teach their kids and raise their kids and love their families? No, we don't. Do we have a straight Pride Month for those in the population who are not deviant in their sexual proclivities? No, we don't. Now, don't get me wrong. If however you want to live your life, that's up to you. But to have a month celebrating transvestites, drag queens, you know, you name it, any kind of deviant behavior is wrong, in my opinion. It's like we're trying to promote it. Tolerance is one thing, but promoting is another. why don't we have a military celebration month to celebrate all the brave men and women who are serving in the armed forces? But we have Memorial Day to remember those who died in service. And we have Veterans Day to honor those who have served. But we don't have Veterans Month, do we? Think about this. This is antithetical to what our country is supposed to be. Now, again, I'm not passing judgment on people who want to live a different lifestyle, but it is an aberration from the norm. That is a fact, and that's fine for them. But for us to push that agenda with a Pride Month, to me, is absolutely uncalled for and wrong. Hey, what did you think about the format today? We just kind of riffed on several topics and changed on how we've been doing things. I hope you liked it. Let us know, please, in the comments whether you do, and leave some ideas for future episodes. We're going to try to do this once a week and kind of gather up the things that kind of caught my attention during the week and just talk with you like we're sitting at a lunch table or a breakfast table having coffee. So also comment on the things that we talked about in this video and let us know what you think about those as well. But please do let us know about the comment. And if you got value from our little discussion, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications, and share the video. Until next time, I'm Ken Henry, and this is Conservative Commentary, where we spread the MAGA message.